very, very short break after we come
After we come back, we will not be going to a break. Let's get ready for this first draft. Certainly going to be interesting. The two top teams, Infamous v Impunity. It was really what everyone was expecting, and the draft is ready. So without further ado, let's go into the draft.
There we have it. We are into the draft of the night. We are in the finals between Impunity and Infamous. Of course, Impunity, or rather Infamous, will be on the blue side and Impunity on that of red. We do see the lines immediately banned out for the side of Impunity.
I think it is Infamous on A side. So Infamous is gonna ban away the lance. They really don't want to play against it. It does make sense, because I think the Impunity does love to play their own lance. So the ban here could be Grace, or we might see even an Idris. We've seen Idris first picked quite a lot, and so that would make sense to ban away on B side.
Yep, I'm just assuming from the graphics that I was sent that but anyways. But the side of Infamous, or rather the side of Impunity, really taking the time to go through, the second draft, second ban, rather, coming into this game itself. Grace will be the most likely ban. If there you have it, we have the Grace being banned out by the side of Impunity. However, for the side of Infamous, a rather peculiar pickup. We do see a Baptiste insta-lock. What do you think, Minimiter?
That's certainly not what anyone was expecting. First pick Baptiste, and now Catherine's been picked up so that it doesn't have to be banned away, because obviously you don't want to give away Baptiste to Catherine, even though it's not as common to play those two heroes anymore. They're still extremely strong together. They work fantastically. And so by picking Catherine first, they don't have to worry about trying to ban it away. And now they're pretty much free to do whatever they want. They could maybe get rid of the Glaive, maybe get rid of the Idris they don't want to face, but they're going to get rid of the Taka they don't want to face, which is fair enough. We've seen a lot of Black Feather Taka comps, and they've been working so well. Taka's such an annoying hero to dive in on anyone, and there's not much you can do to stop him. So Taka ban does make sense, and now I really would expect Glaive to be banned. Otherwise, it's just letting through. Yeah, that's a smart ban.
Yep, Glaive would be the standard ban altogether, because, with a lot of CCs actually banned out throughout the board, we have the two main CCs coming out, or rather, we have the two main heroes that got a ton of CC. We have Silence coming out from Catherine. However, we do see the Castro being picked up by the side of Impunity. Impunity, they are known to run this Castro, and of course followed up by a Scarf, if not then a Celeste, just for the siege potential they have in the early game. And we just see that, Impunity, they are very orchestrated in terms of their movements, and very, very well devised and, calculated all in all in terms of their macro plays and strategy. However, Infamous, we cannot doubt their plays as well. They have very good objective, control and, jungle control in all together. We are going to see an Idris being picked up by the side of Infamous. This is one iffy pick going up against a Castro, unless of course Infamous will go for that CP Idris. Once he gets a Frostburn, he can try to outpoke that of Castro. That will most probably be in that of lane.
Yeah, I think that most likely will be a CP Idris with a Roam Baptiste. We're trying to figure out why they first picked Baptiste. What kind of comp do they want to play to make that a priority pick for them? And it is interesting that they didn't have two heroes specific in mind to work with Baptiste. It's more that they've just gone, maybe Baptiste works really well against most of the heroes they like to play. Most of the dive heroes he works really well against. He's not too great against poke, which is why they may have put him into captain against this Kestrel. And they are going to bring Captain Baptiste with possibly a weapon Idris to dive in onto the Kestrel, but we also could see double CP. It would be kind of risky against Catherine, because she counters Idris' Chakram as long as she can tank it successfully. So I think it will probably be be weapon Idris, just dive into the Kestrel, and that makes even more sense against Celeste, unless they want to go for a double poke comp.
Yep, but there is one thing to note as well. With that Baptiste being picked up, going up against two pokes and two damages, right? The mages in this game, they just put out so much damage in such a short time. Baptiste might have a really, really tough time just going up against this particular comp, because honestly, Baptiste just lack the tankiness that the other captains have got, like that of Lance, that of Grace, even Catherine, the Storm Guard, and Arden has got more tank, more initial starting health and ending health, as compared to a Batiste. So honestly, it is just down to how they are going to execute the team comp. With that of Scar being picked up by the side of Infamous, they definitely have got the earlier game as compared to Celeste pre-level 8, but it's just down to execution. And Impunity, they are known to just move in threes and put on a lot of pressure in lane, and I do not see how Batiste will be beneficial whatsoever to the side of Infamous.
Yeah, I think the Batiste pick was to try and counter any dive that would be picked up, but in the end, it just turns out to be kind of a useless captain. He's going to have a fear to try and fear Kestrel if Kestrel tries to dive in, but the Ordained he's never going to get in range to use, and if he does get in range to Ordain someone, he's going to die, because he's going to get Glimmer Shot to the face, Healer Genesis to the face, and so Batiste is really, really squishy and is countered by Celeste and Kestrel in 2 away. So they're really going for let the carries just carry the game. Let Idris farm up, let Scar farm up to late game, and hope that in the late game they haven't got any healing. Maybe that will be the difference, and Batiste will just be able to provide fountains and crucibles. And if we get slightly caught out, then he can help with fears if they dive in. But I think all that has to happen is you just have a poke with Celeste and Kestrel, and then they're going to win this game.
Yeah, and on top of that as well, Infamous's draft, what happens with their draft is that if they do not run the double CP comp, which means Idris has to dive into the backlines, and Batiste will have a relatively hard time to just support Idris as a whole. Granted, you can land those Ordains on the Celeste or Castro when Idris dives in. That way you can restrict the movement as a whole. But even then, I see it being very difficult because of the amount of early game pressure that Impunity is sure to put onto Infamous. But of course, I do not doubt the playmaking that Batiste can provide, especially if you can fear or ordain interfere into a wall. That way you make the entirety of Impunity have got nothing on you for, say, 3 seconds, or no, 1.5 seconds, the duration of the fear at least.
Yeah, definitely would be a good idea. But as you said, the problem with Batiste with a weapon Idris is that he can't stay with him. Someone like Grace is great with Idris because she has massive range on her A ability, and someone like Arden can keep up with Vanguards, whereas Batiste has nothing. Idris will jump in and just be caught out because he'll be going too deep. They'll back off. Batiste won't be able to catch up. And it looks like we still don't know if Spaghetti's gone for the Book of Eulogy start, so it could be going either way. And yeah, DefQ obviously going to be going on this lane weapon Kestrel. We might have been seeing Kestrel being going to the jungle. I've seen a little bit of lane weapon Kestrel, but Impunity are starting with an aggressive early game rotation again. Impunity straight to the front heel, and it works, but it's just countered by what SNK had to do was rotate straight to their backs and take them away. Impunity going to be slightly ahead.
Yeah, but SNK do not have that, the weapon blade, early weapon blade, and or the early crystal bit just to help them or just go into the bags of Impunity. However, Infamous, all 3 members in lane trying to push this lane out really, really quickly just to try to, force DefQ back up into lane, which they are successful at. But, as a weapon Castro, your early game clear is just relatively good as well. Granted, the turret will take a little damage from the minions, but all in all, it will be well and dandy for Castro or for DefQ on this Castro, and of course the entire team of Impunity. I must say, Impunity's team comp, a lot of CCs and a lot of hard CCs in fact. As for the side of Infamous, they lack CC, so it's just down to how much pressure they can apply in lane before Celeste hits the level 8. Because Scarf does well against Celeste before Celeste hits level 8 because of the range that Spitfire has. Whereas once Celeste hits the level 8, it will be a difficult fight. The Core Collapse comes in, and Solar Storm to your face as well will be something that Spaghetti and probably SNK and Chingy has to think about when going to any team fights. Because granted, the side of Infamous, they have got a decent frontliner in terms of Batiste, and they got a soft CC in terms of the Ordain, but all in all, they just do not have the poke that the side of Impunity actually has.
Yeah, and Infamous actually freezing the wave quite successfully, forcing DefQ to be in a poor position if he wants to farm the wave. And the early game rotation from Infamous was actually good. They got their backs together. Then by pushing the wave as 3, it made DefQ not able to get ahead in gold. They just became even. So even though Impunity took away the front camp, the mid healing camp, Infamous didn't get behind in gold because DefQ was unable to share the backs. And yeah, it's not going to be too aggressive for Impunity because they have the Celeste. Speaking of Celeste, she's going to get ordained and going to walk into the wall. There could be a lot of damage going down. She's going to use the boots and healing flask, and Luxley will be able to get away. Yeah, Impunity, as I said, really going to be really defensive while it's all on Infamous with this weapon Idris now to try and dive in onto the Kestrel as early as possible.
Yep, I'll not say weapon Idris is just terrible, but going up again to see a weapon Castro that can just immediately active camo, and then if you were to chase, just stun you out in it, it just proves to be very invaluable as a pickup. I would rather if Infamous just go for double CP, that way you can try to outpoke, and I say try with great emphasis, that of Impunity, or the poke coming up from Impunity at least. And it's kind of sucky for Infamous at this point in time because they are not trying to push their early game advantage up against the Celeste whatsoever, and Quantivo at this point in time only has got 2 stacks, and you know, Impunity, rather Infamous, definitely have got an earlier game team comp. They can definitely try to push very, very hard, but they are not doing so.
Yeah, they're definitely just letting Impunity farm up, and maybe they're hoping that Shingy late game will be the hero that he needs to be on this Scarf. I think it is risky. Definitely, Weapon Idris does well against Kestrel and reasonably well against Celeste once it gets later on in the game. But they don't want Celeste to hit level 8 as freely as she currently is. They really want Celeste to be struggling to farm up, struggling to get those levels. And yeah, it just seems like both teams are happy to wait as long as possible. And DefQ actually farming up a little bit better than Spaghetti, so there was a slight 200 gold lead to in favour of Impunity.
Yep, I mean the 200 gold lead wouldn't be, you know, anything at all. It would not amount to say an item or anything, in fact, because all in all, Impunity, they are playing very unlike themselves. However, Infamous will be going in for the Turret Siege.
No, they definitely are. That time's down to half health. There's going to be a stun onto SNK. Double stun. Get destroyed immediately by Quadrivoire's Merciless Pursuit into the core collapse from Blue City. And that is the problem that we're having with this Juan Batista. He has no defense, no tankiness inherently in his kit. He's all about damage, all about peeling for the rest of his team. And so in doing that, that means that if you catch SNK out himself, he's really in a poor position. Impunity trying to hide for anyone being overextending, but no one will. All members of Infamous just backing off, and this front healing camp will most likely go over to Impunity if they wait, but they know that Batista's spawned again, so they're just going to back off to their own jungle.
Yep, and one more thing as well is that we saw the amount of CC chains that, you know, Impunity can put out, and on top of that, the Batiste is only good if you can, you know, if you are up against a triple dive comp or double dive comp. That way, a Batiste is just very, very good because, like you say, you have got Fearsome Shade to just chase anybody away if they just try to dive on your teammates. However, with this team comp, you are basically just a sitting duck, all in all.
Yeah, speaking of sitting duck, there is SNK going to force his fountain on himself very early in the team fight. On Quadrivoire, but that's not the target. And now Infamous looking to try and seize this turret once again. Not sure if Spaghetti and Shingy are going to be able to do that. They are just going to poke the turret, and they will. Scarf with the Spitfire actually able to poke the turret down to dead. Now DefQ is going to try and get some damage. Quadrivoire with the stun, Spaghetti, 2 glimmer shots to the face, but Luxley is stunned out by the Ordained. The fountain from Quadrivoire doing so much work, but Spaghetti with the link into the back line due to his diversion paths being unlocked. Shingy going to try and get some damage onto DefQ, and the active cover shot is there, but Shingy's not quite going to walk into it. One shot, one kill is available. Might be thrown out just for a bit of a poke, but not really going to be securing any kills. Good fight in the end for Infamous.
Yep, definitely a good fight, and I guess that is where Batiste shine. If you're caught out of position, you do not have your early reflex block, what happens is that Ordain is there, you want to try to get as far away as Infamous as possible, and thus risking you walking into the walls or the perimeters of that Ordain. That way Infamous can just immediately capitalize on your mistake, and of course your off positioning, and just take you down. And with that as well, definitely a very good fight going over for Infamous, and definitely with that early game push, this is what I'm talking about all in all. Chingy really needs to capitalize the advantage that he has against Celeste before Celeste hits the level 8, because Chingy has got damage over time, whereas Celeste is immediate burst, one shot, one kill, coming out a little wide.
Yep, not quite going to connect to anyone. Cordovar looking for another stack of his Captain of the Guard. But Infamous are backing off, not allowing him to pick any of that up. Idris is actually going for Poison Shiv, second item. What do you think about that, Luxurious? Do you like it, or do you think there's no need because there's no healing except from Eve of Harvest on Blue City?
Well, I mean, all in all, I personally do not quite like it. I prefer Spaghetti. Or maybe it's not just to counter healing, but it's just that little sustain that Spaghetti maybe want to have. And of course, you know, it reduces the fountain by, you know, a third as well. So I guess it is valuable for Infamous, all in all. But I personally think it is just down to the sustain that it provides. But I would prefer if Spaghetti probably just went for, you know, the Tornado Trigger, if not then Breaking Point, although it's very unlikely to be, you know, found on Idris whatsoever. However, this build has got its own perk, like said, is the extra healing that you receive, and the Mortal Wound will prove to pay you off favors in that of the late game.
Yeah, that does make sense. The Mortal Wound will be really effective against the Fountain, and that could make the difference in the end in these teamfights. DefQ obviously going for the very little defense, so Spaghetti doesn't need that much weapon power to completely destroy them in a team fight. Blixie's looking to try and poke. He is now level 8. This is a really good power spike for Celeste, who's only got the Frostburn, but so has Scarf. But yeah, this level 8 really means that SNK has to get even closer to the backline if he wants to get any form of Ordained or any form of CC onto them, any kind of effectiveness. And Cordovar's only on 7 stacks 9 minutes in. Looks like Impunity looking for a fight. There's the Blast Tremor, going to be thrown down, but there's no follow-up at all for Impunity. One shot going wide, and that was a wasted Blast Tremor. 90 seconds on that cooldown. This could be the time for Infamous to fight. This could be the Impale landing on Spaghetti, but he's going to just blink away. No real need to get out of position for that. Cordovar taking a little bit of poke. And Impunity, despite having no Blast Tremor, still wants to go in. There's SNK, bootsing in with the Ordain, going to be blocked by Blue Stick. Spitfire going through, and the Fearsome Shade does actually connect onto Blue Stick in the end. DefQ going to be on the back line. There's the Solar Storm from Celeste, not doing too much. Spaghetti is very low. He's going to go towards the enemy team. That was a risky play, and he goes low but does not fall. DefQ has got a little bit of energy left. He's going to go on Shingy. Lots of damage. There's a Scout up in that bush, but it doesn't matter. DefQ doing all the work. He is Ordained, but he's still going to be able to wait for that to expire. And the Heliogenesis are coming down. They're looking for Spaghetti, and he is still just waiting. Quite healthy now, and both teams are going to back off. But 1 kill for Impunity.
Yep, and that is generally what I'm saying, and what we saw as well. As you know, SNK had to dive in really, really deep for that one Ordain, in which.
Speaking of Ordained, there's going to be an Ordained onto Cordovar, and the one-shot dodged by Spaghetti using his Shimmer Strike, but he will fall to the Celeste. And now SNK is going to try and get DefQ. That's a nice Spitfire from Shingy and Goop to try and stop any engagement from Impunity, but they're still going to get the kill onto Batiste and Idris. So another good trade for Impunity. They end up with 3 kills traded for only their captain.
Yep, and that is what I'm talking about at least. You know, SNK has to go out of his position to drop that Ordain, and now that Blue City already built his Reflex block, it wouldn't be fruitless, right? It would not be, you know, your Ordain wouldn't be in fruition at all, because they can just run away, block out that perimeter stun that Ordain provides, and one of the CCs that Ordain has. But all in all, I guess it will work out, especially if you Ordain forcing the Reflex block to come out from Blue City, have Spaghetti dive into the backlines, immediately removing Blue City, but then you have to worry about the damage that's coming out from DefQ. DefQ at this point in time sitting at 3 kills, 0 death, and a whole lot of weapon power.
Yeah, certainly DefQ with that Solar Blade, double Tyrants, probably going to work towards triple Tyrants later on in the game once he sells his heat. 1 shot, 1 kill, doesn't connect, but the Supernova does onto SNK. Cordovar looking for a stun, not going to find anyone, and DefQ is walking through a Goop. That's not where you want to be, DefQ. Spaghetti, that was really quite poor positioning from DefQ. He tried to walk through the Goop, but took far too much damage when it ignited, and this should be an easy gold mine for Infamous. They capitalized on that mistake perfectly.
Yep, but there is a possible still that Blue City can throw out that Solar Storm and just clip that gold mine, and you know the steel would come out, as we do see Blue City in preparation for that still.
Yeah, he's going to throw it out, but a bit too late. Catherine was not quite providing vision, so there was really no chance of stealing the gold mine. Just blind. You really need to know when it's going to get low enough, because if they see the Celeste ulting, generally your team can just stop attacking gold mine, wait for the Solar Storm to hit, then finish it with your burst. And This time Infamous could just kill it before the Celestial came through. SNK still has not got the Echo, and Quadivore looks like he's going towards Clockwork instead of going Echo on Catherine. What do you think about that decision?
Well, with the Clockwork, I mean, because even if you do go for an Echo, I think it would be so much more better, but it's easily countered by a Now Wave Gauntlet if timed right, whereas a Clockwork, it just makes your abilities come up so very often, just so you can land more Merciless Pursuit, probably 2 or 3 Merciless Pursuit in a single fight, and on top of that as well, it is just a Storm Guard coming out more often just to counter Chingy or Spaghetti on their respective heroes. That way, I guess has got its pros and cons to do without that Echo, but all in all, I think Echo is so much better as an item pickup overall.
Okay, well, we're going to see what Quadivore is going to decide to go for. He's definitely not going for House Run Charges, picking up the Journey Boots instead. Another interesting decision, maybe just try and just dodge these Spitfires. And now Infamous going for a turret siege. Spaghetti getting those basics down. Fishing Shade is blocked, but the turret will fall, and so will the core collapse will land on Spaghetti, taking a lot of hope. Solar Storm comes through, dodged by Spaghetti for the most part, and he's going to walk into an active camera trap, but there's going to be a lovely block onto the Blast Tremor, and he actually walks out of the active camera trap just in time. Another core collapse to stand on SNK. Bluesty going very low, who will be hit by the Ordained, but it will not quite kill him. Now Spaghetti is just baiting. Will he be able to fall? Yes, he will. 1 basic from Death Cube is enough. Now Shingy is 1 versus 3, not going to go too aggressive, and that is a nice 2 kills for Impunity.
Yep, that is definitely a very good trade-off for Impunity. However, losing 2 turrets 14 minutes in, I don't think Quadivore will be any happy with that, and thus Impunity will be going in for the Crystal Sentry, or try to get the Crystal Sentry, and possibly the 2nd tier turret of Infamous as well. So Impunity definitely going to go to take down the Crystal Sentry, and DevQ constantly just left untouched time and time again, able to put out so much Glimmer Shot damage, and of course the basic attacks as well. And we are not seeing DevQ going for that Tornado trigger that we often see on Castro, but the Bone Sword, so very, very reminiscent of the build coming out in 2.7. However, we do not see a Clockwork. We just saw the energy battery there, and in fact Quadivore will just build into the Now with Gauntlet to try to counter the Echo that's coming out from SNK.
Yeah, as you said, Echo is pretty hard countered by No Wave Gauntlet, and SNK is in the position where he cannot build a second reflex block, because if he does, he then has 0 defense on this weapon pack Estral. That's just something you cannot do, especially on someone like Batiste, who has to be in the front line pretty much. So he has to have a metal jacket or at least some defense on Kestrel, otherwise he's going to get bursted down immediately. So that means the No Wave is either going to connect or is going to be forced to use the Crucible. Then obviously that's a free Blast Tremor from Catherine, which Idris isn't going to block because he wants to block the Core Collapse. That could be a really good play from Impunity, but they have to fight when the No Wave comes through. The No Wave comes through, and SNK just boots his away, uses War Treads before No Wave hits, and DevQ could be in a bit of trouble. The stun from Catherine doesn't come through. DevQ taking a lot of damage from Spaghetti. He's going to block the Blast Tremor with his ultimate. DevQ's going to fall. Quadivore's the next target. Item Silence is doing nothing on Batiste. He did not manage to use Echo on his ultimate, actually. I think he might have echoed the Ordained instead. So now Spaghetti going to try and take this healing tree to get himself back up, and he does secure it. Quadivore not going to go too aggressive, and Blue's just going to port home. This is a free Kraken for Infamous, but no, they're actually going to stop. They've noticed it. There was no vision, but they just know that Infamous is starting up this Kraken. Blue's going to try and poke down Spaghetti with the Helio. Infamous are not bothered about Bluesy. Now they are. There's the Ordained. That's going to be Bluesy blocking to try and run away. Spaghetti needs to jump in. He has not got any abilities up to do so. He's going to shackle him for a bit of damage, and the item silence comes through. One shot onto SNK. That was not the intended target, but it works. And Impunity stop the Kraken being taken, and possibly Spaghetti. He will not port home. He was stopped, and now Impunity are in a great position. But Bluesy did fall in the end to Shingy, I believe, and now that was really good. Well played by Quadivore and Bluesy.
Yep. We can tell that they are rather balanced in terms of mechanics, and this is quite a showing for Infamous and of course Impunity as well. Very well played from Blue City to just drop stars all over and just try his best, or rather Quadivore to try his bestest or Impunity's bestest to stop the Kraken being taken. And of course we cannot deny DevQ's one shot one kill is the saving grace of Impunity for a future Kraken push coming out from Infamous. However, the next fight will definitely be happening around the Kraken. And that is one thing. When I was talking about earlier on is that Infamous really wants to dive in and SNK cannot quite support it. And just looking at KDA alone, it kind of just proves my point. All in all, whenever SNK goes in for a very, very dangerous maneuver of dropping that Ordain onto that of Blue City or Death Queue, usually it will be Blue City that gets it. Then immediately Infamous, the entirety of Infamous will jump on that target. Problem with that is, one shot, one kill coming out, taking SNK down to half health. Impunity will just go for the second turret at this point in time. But
Impunity doing a nice rotation. It looks like Infamous do want to fight. No, they don't want to fight this. Spaghetti's just waiting. He's not actually going to go in, and the Helio's not going to connect onto him. But yeah, Infamous just happy to let that tier 2 turret fall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I mean we saw this coming up from Impunity just yesterday as well. If they are unable to win a team fight, but Kosovo coming in with a merciless pursuit, but will just back off afterwards. And we saw this from Impunity yesterday as well. They just immediately go in for the turret if they just do not like to waste time whatsoever.
He's going to get onto Shingy. That's one glimmer shot doing a lot of damage. One shot, one kill is available. Does not want to risk it though. Shingy's probably going to be able to dodge that. And now Impunity happy. They've got the kill. They're going to go for Kraken. Lovely fear. Was not quite blocked in time. He's going to want to dive in. That second finishing shade does come through. Not quite going to connect onto any of the carries. But Item Silence lands onto Idris. That's not the intended target. Shingy's going to go down. Idris going to get the double with the Shimmer Strike. And SNK going to start up this Kraken. I think Cote d'Ivoire will be able to survive. Yeah, he's got his Storm Guard. There's no way Idris going to get that kill, especially when he misses Shackram's. But now Spaghetti's going to start up this Kraken. And besides a miraculous steal, I think Infamous should be able to get this, or at least just win the fight and just kill him. Yeah, they're going to be able to kill Cote d'Ivoire. He went for the Kraken a bit too early. I mean, Celeste is up in 13 seconds, so Infamous needs to be quick. They know there's a double steal coming out from members of Impunity. It's likely that Celeste will ult it to give Kestrel vision, and then the one shot's going to come out.
Yep, that is possible as well. And Celeste definitely has got very good potential, and a Solar Storm coming out.
That's missed. That's missed. That's far too high. That's too high. One shot, one kill as well. Oh, they didn't time it. They should have used the Solar Storm to give Kestrel vision on the Kraken and then one shot. But they tried to do it at the same time. Nice body block from SNK there.
Yeah, very, very nice body block indeed. So with that ace buff they get from Kraken, they are in a very comfortable position to just push down the lane of Impunity. We saw this scenario before between Infamous and Impunity. As long as Infamous just stick on target and just continue playing like how they are, they will definitely be able to close this game out immediately. However, if they do allow the similar mistakes to happen, which means SNK just being caught out in very unfavorable position, then definitely Impunity would have the upper hand, because SNK, like mentioned earlier on, incredible fear coming up from SNK.
Shake down. Gonna only count Cote d'Ivoire though, nothing onto the carries. Now what are Infamous going to do? They're going to get one time back off, or they're going to try and fight. Shingy looking to do the poke with the Spitfire, and it looks like the Kraken's going very low. So if Infamous do want to fight, they've got to pull the trigger very soon, and that's going to be a stun onto SNK. And Spaghetti's looking to just Chakram the turret. He actually misses, and yeah, Infamous happy with one turret apparently. They're just going to back off and not get anything else apart from a Crystal Sentry.
But I guess if you do crack,
no, they're not even going to get that. Wow.
Oh wow. I mean, but I guess if they do get that, then Wall Threats can be used, or rather Boots can be used to go into that of Infamous and immediately take them out, because they'll probably have burned their abilities on the Crystal Sentry. But Impunity will be going in for that standard maneuver again.
The Blast Hammer misses. Blast Hammer going completely wide. Echo was not used. So and Item Silence was used. This is a fantastic time for Infamous to fight. There was not War Treads on SNK. You can almost afford them another 150 gold when he goes to the shop. But yeah, the Blast Tremor goes down. So does the Null Wave. That's not great timing for Impunity, and Catherine knows it. She wants to port home. All three members going to port in that bush. So now Infamous aren't going to get anything from it. They managed to bait out the engage from Catherine, but didn't then follow up. And actually, SNK deciding Metal Jacket is more worth his time. Now he's going to pick up some flares. We need some vision, and if he flares on top of Kestrel, this should be quite an easy fight for Spaghetti. But they just haven't been diving in. I think SNK needs to prioritize War Treads, and they will probably not face check that bush. Cote d'Ivoire should probably flare it. I'm very surprised. Why do you think SNK hasn't built War Treads yet?
I mean, honestly, they don't really want to rush in altogether. Idris can rush
Speaking
in.
of rushing in all together, there's going to be a block onto the blast hammer. Idris going to go Threesome Shade. Does land on 2 members, all 3 members. Threesome Shade. That's another Threesome Shade from Tease. So much work, but Spaghetti is going to fall, and that is another blast hammer coming down from Catherine. She's going to go in onto Shingy. So is Defq. Shingy's going to fall so low immediately. Now Bluxty is the lowest member of Impunity, but SNK is the only member of Infamous. One shot, bit wide. No chance really of hitting someone the one shot when they use their boots, and there's no chance of SNK surviving this. Bluxty's on one side, Defq's on the other. Impunity take the ace, and will they take the game? No, they're going for a turret and a Kraken instead. So Impunity want one more team fight.
There was an orgy of damage that rained down upon that of Infamous, although it pulled off 2 Threesome Shade, but it just wasn't enough whatsoever. The amount of damage that's coming up from Defq and Blue City was just immense. Granted, Spaghetti dove in to just put out the damage that's needed onto Blue City and Defq. But there is just not much of follow-up whatsoever coming out from SNK and Chingy, because SNK, like said, not the tankiest of hero, but Quartervo can just dive in back into the backlines, land those merciless pursuit just to stun out Spaghetti. If not, then Chingy just cannot follow up whatsoever with any sort of damage, because like said and like mentioned, the thing that's separating the 2 mages, Celeste and Scarf, is that Celeste's abilities stay on the fold for quite some time before igniting or just going away. Ignition, of course, by the terms of Supernova.
Yeah, whereas Goops being ignited by Goops by Xingyi, which is a very interesting way to play Scarf with a lot of cooldown. Quartervoir going to be the one, actually all 3 man taking the Fearsome Shade, but there's no engage from Infamous. Echo was used by SNK. Fearsome Shade is available again. There's Dragon's Breath coming on very early. They're trying to go for the fight. Defq's going to get jumped on by Spaghetti. Lovely Solar Storm from Celeste, but Defq is going to be the one to fall. The second blast hammer doesn't do that much work, and now Quartervoir is going to be focused by Spaghetti, and Impunity is just going for the win. Bluxity going for the back door while Idris is going on his Catherine, and now Bluxity is like, oh dear, I'm in trouble. Looks like I'm just going to have to try and kill him. That's not going to work, and Infamous do not lose the game. They still have 1 turret left. This looks like it's going to be a 30-minute game, possibly, Luxuria.
Yeah, it might be a 30-minute game. Both of these teams just looking very strong and even at this point in time. Whenever they trade out, it's either one side win and the other just come back afterwards, almost immediately. If not, then it is just a rather even trade out without any objectives being exchanged or traded out. All in all, however, a lot of infusions are going across the board, and Infamous will finally take the Crystal Sentry that we were hoping they are going to take for a while now.
Yeah, Shingy still needs quite a bit of gold. Still needs another 600 gold until Shingy can afford to buy a Broken Myth. This is really not a good time for Infamous to fight. I know that Bluxty hasn't got one. Bluxty's still working towards that Aegis, still needs another 100 gold to pick that up. But Shingy really needs to get Broken Myth in these fights, because Bluxty's got double defense almost. She's actually gone for the Infusion and Journey Boots instead. And Infamous are going for the sneaky play. They cannot backdoor. Spaghetti's the only one who could even attempt the wall jump, and it's quite a hard one to do. But Impunity knows something's up. I'm pretty sure they're expecting Infamous in the party brush just next door, and now Defq is like, no, I'm not going past this line. This is my base. I am happy here, and both teams know. Impunity just know what is up. They are not going to go anywhere near. And how long can Infamous wait in that exact position? I reckon a couple more minutes.
Yeah. Well, probably.
They've given up. They've had enough. They've caved. They're going to port home because Shingy still can't afford her a Broken Myth. I'm not quite sure why they ported home. They repop the Infusion on Idris, and yeah, this is looking like both teams are just going to be too scared to go anywhere near the enemy. And actually, Quarterbar was waiting for Contraption, which is why he didn't want to go aggressive. And yeah, Shingy nearly there, so close. Another 2,250 gold is what you need for Broken Myth. So Shingy's like, nah, let me just give me a sec. Maybe it's 2,050 with their piercing shards. She's just waiting. And yeah, they need to be careful because Impunity are looking for the back door, or just the front door. Just walk straight through the base.
And one more thing as well, I think the side of Infamous was actually timing the Crystal Sentry respawn, and that is why they ported back. If that is the case, then very well played coming up from Infamous. Do not want to fight around that Sentry at least. But now Impunity is forced to back off because all three members is just defending that base, and they might just go for a sneaky Kraken pickup at this point in time. I mean,
Infamous what to fight. Because Shingy's picked up Broken Myth now, needed 2,250, got it, now needs a bit lane gold to re-infuse, and this is why I said the game might go very long, because both the carries, Celeste and Scarf, just want to wait. Shingy is going to take a lot of damage. The Infusion's still active, and Impunity are going to take that as their reason to engage, but not really. Nope, they're just going to go walk up to lane and say hello and then back off. Shingy going to go down to jungle, repop herself with Infusion, and again, both teams just waiting for the other to make a mistake or make the first move. Whoever starts up Kraken is probably going to lose the fight because then they get engaged on. They've already low for taking Kraken. And now Impunity once again just pushing the wave. And there's going to be once again port from Infamous. And then Impunity are going to go to Kraken.
Yep, once again, very back and forth this tug of war here that, Impunity and Infamous is just in and strangled in, and there is really nothing that, either side can do because they know either way, if they lose any of the team fight that's gonna be coming up next, the other team will win, but DevQ...
It's going to be they engage. Shingy walks into an actual cover trap where there's no vision. One shot does not connect, and Shingy is very low. The fountain was used by SNK before he died. And Impunity are like, we know where you are, Shingy. We're going to come and find you. We're going to hunt you down. And now, if I was Idris, I'd just go for the back door. You're not going to win this fight. Now he's enough. He's going for the 1v3 place. Here comes Spaghetti walking down the alley, and he's going to get stunned by the call taps. No, he's going to dodge it, but he's not got enough. Double kill. That is an ace for Impunity. One turret left, and that'll be the game.
And that is just the mistakes coming out from the side of Infamous. I will not say it's a mistake, but it was just that, the active camo trap that caught the Chingy and, not Chingy at least, the SNK out then, and SNK was just so oblivious to it because there was just no vision whatsoever. But of course, it is very well played, and definitely Impunity winning the tug of war after 30 minutes.
Yeah, extremely well played by both sides. But in the end, Impunity had the better rotation. They had the map control. They forced Infamous to port home, so they were in a slightly poor position to try and fight. And then Impunity could just rotate down through the lane, get the trap set up, and Shingy got bursted down to 1 HP. The fountain came through for SNK to try and save him, but it was nowhere near enough. And then it was just well executed by Impunity. Spaghetti tried the god plays at the end, tried the 1v3. I suppose there's nothing else you can do in that situation. You're going to lose either way if you don't try and fight. So well played to Impunity. They do take the first game of this series, and can they take it to 2-0, Luxuria?
Well, I mean, both of these teams, they are very, very, very even in terms of macros and micros. If the other team do actually snowball, like say in the next game, if Impunity do actually snowball, it is just down to TILT, right? Coming out from Infamous. And that is how Impunity will be able to snowball. But however, Chingy and Spaghetti SNK played really, really well in that game. It was just down to the active camo trap in the end. But of course, very well placed from DevQ there. That is undeniably one of the best active camo position plays right there. And of course, the scout trap positioning that Quatervor actually just pooped out, one by the mustache brush and one by the other side of the mustache brush, was kind of tactical in a lot of senses. It detects the movements of the side of Infamous because the scout trap now revealed, the show of the lines, and it reveals quite a large area as well. So whenever Infamous just moves in, and it was just very well played. It was a team game, but of course hard fought from Infamous.
Yeah, scout traps now with the vision range being shown. A lot of teams have decided to put them in more obscure places, because you're going to get vision when they walk in a certain path. So that was really well played by Quatervor. But the draft is ready for the second game. So without further ado, let's jump on into the draft.
I really wanted to say this might just probably be the last draft of the game and of the day, but I must say, with how even both of these teams are, it is just so difficult to have those words and that phrase just come out of my mouth. But however, now Infamous on the red side, and of course we have Impunity on that on the blue side. Impunity, they are very well trained, right? And they have got a wide hero pool, very similar to that of Infamous, but I don't think Infamous at this point in time would just insta-lock that Baptiste. I mean, SNK may just be very, very comfortable on that Baptiste. It kind of paid off for them in that of the early game and into the mid game itself. The Ordain just put in so much work, but Lance, of course, would be a much better hero. So I think Lance would probably be banned out here, if not then Catherine that Quasar just pulled out, because if they do ban out that Catherine, Lance will be picked out by Infamous. If they ban out that Lance, and Catherine may just be picked out once again by the side of Infamous.
Yeah, I do think that Catherine would make sense as a pick. It's not necessary. They don't have to first pick Catherine. They could go for the Baptiste. You never know. Try out the strategy that was played against you, even though it didn't work. But yeah, I think Catherine does make the most sense as a pick, because it worked for them last time in the comp that they ended up getting, and they managed to be able to outdraft just by having more flexibility. Speaking of flexibility, they're going to go straight for the glaive. So Impunity deciding that was banned away from them in the last game, they want to just first pick it this time, and that does leave Catherine open for the side of Infamous.
But Catherine definitely not prioritized, to be honest. She has not quite seen to be a presence in the meta of 2.8 all in all. We have seen an emergence of Finn as well. And Finn and Glaive, they work in contradiction against each other at least. But all in all, I personally think is a very good way to actually put them together. Glaive can punch you in, and if enemies run away from you, then of course you have the Finn's hook as well. So that is for the side of Impunity at least. But we do see the Catherine being picked up by the side of Infamous. I don't know how well the Catherine is being can be utilized in this particular game itself, because in the previous game you have a lot of CCs coming out from the side of Impunity, and thus the Catherine pickup makes a lot of sense. However, the side of Infamous, or rather Impunity, can just easily pick up that Finn and just nullify any merciless pursuit, any stance that Catherine can just put out in that early game, and thus you have that little edge, slight edge at least.
One thing to note about Catherine against Finn is if Catherine decides to stun Finn with a merciless pursuit, that does actually silence him, which means he cannot block when Finn is in quote marks stunned. And so with most captains, you can't stun them then use your ult because they can block when they're stunned. Finn can't block when he's silenced. So that means that Catherine is actually able to get a guaranteed blast tremor without having to have a null wave if she's at point blank range with Finn, which is one interesting way that Catherine can work really well against Finn. And now obviously they have to consider the Cath Baptiste combo, because if they don't ban it now, you're letting it through. Obviously Baptiste is countered, especially Crystal Baptiste is countered by poke like Celeste and Scarf. We see the Petal ban, makes a lot of sense. Petal's a very strong hero, especially weapon, so you don't want to against it as a glaive, because afterburns are hard enough as it is to pump back a hero and not a minion. So imagine trying to not pump back a minion or a manion. Must be just horrible to play against, and obviously that leaves through Catherine Baptiste. So straight away picked up. Their last pick's going to be like a Kestrel, or Weapon Idris, maybe a Ringo, or any weapon power carry, maybe Blackfeather. So you can pretty much the exact draft. Now on A side, pick up the Celeste or the Scarf, and probably you want to go Roam Glaive with a Blackfeather to make sure you're not countered by it.
Oh, but we are going to see a Finn. Like I say, it synergizes in a very weird manner. It's almost opposite attracts for the case of Finn and Glaive. So I reckon it'll be a weapon-powered Glaive. And of course, we have a Celeste being picked up by the side of Impunity. All in all, I really like that Impunity is just emphasizing and putting a lot of emphasis on CC heavy comms, whereas I mean we cannot discount that the OP comp of 2.6 and 2.7 will be that of Catherine and Baptiste, and we have a Blackfeather as well. So very good drafting. Very, very good drafting from both sides, but especially on the side of Infamous.
Personally, I was thinking if Infamous pick Blackfeather here, they've pretty much won draft. Yeah. Because Blackfeather can just dodge Finn pulls, dodge Glaive afterburns, then they crucible the Celeste core collapse, and Black Feather will destroy Celeste, and you can just CC out Glaive. I think Infamous have got a fantastic draft. I have to put them ahead of Impunity in terms of that, but of course it's got to be executed well. They have to dive in on Celeste. They have to block correctly. They will need to time it correctly, because Black Feather's got 2 ults which he can block CC with, and obviously you're going to have a Crucible on Catherine, probably an Echo on Catherine as well. But the important thing is that Catherine doesn't Crucible the same time Black Feather ults. So you need Black Feather to ult either first or second, but you just need to not waste all your blocks at the same time. And if they do that, I reckon it should be a pretty simple game for Infamous.
Yep, it will be an easier to execute comp coming out from the side of Infamous, and they are looking like a very robust team comp and very robust drafting coming out from Infamous all in all. But seems with the early game going up against Blue City, you definitely will come out on top, because we saw it just now earlier on as well, with that Ordain just putting out so much work in that early and mid game. And if SNK on this Catherine can just be a little more aggressive as compared to Quarter4 in the previous game, then he can definitely tank up for the late game much easier as well, because every stacks that you get from on your Captain of the Guard passive, you get 1 shield and armor, 2 shield and 2 armors as well. So it is just down to whether or not Impunity can just play around this Black Feather all in all, or Black Feather as a lone hero can just trump them as a team, because like you say, Black Feather has got 2 charges of Rose Offensive that can be used very defensively, and it's just down to DevQ whether or not DevQ can just burst Black Feather down before he can actually just do, be the menace that Black Feather kids allow him to do.
Yeah, that certainly could be an option, is they just try and afterburn Black Feather into a poor position so that he's forced to Rose offensive very defensively and not try and kill Celeste, and then try and burst him down before he can get any of the sustain from his Serpent's Mask, build up any breaking point stacks, and that would be a win condition for Impunity to try and execute on. They obviously have no poke, really, Infamous. They have Shingy has a little bit, he's kind of a mid-range mage on this Batiste, but Celeste is a max range mage, and now SNK could be caught out. All 3 members of Impunity are rotating to him. DevQ has not picked an ability yet, so it looks like he's going to wait to see if afterburn's necessary. If not, pick up that Twisted Stroke. And yeah, SNK is a bit stuck, wants to pick up some Captain of the Guard stacks, but doesn't want to die. So yeah, Impunity going to be very defensive, and I expect DevQ to pick up Twisted Stroke. Now he's going to go for afterburn, so he's going to go very aggressive after this trip, most likely. And Infamous have taken their backs together, so they could fight, because Shingy will be level 2 very quickly, whereas all the members of Impunity won't be. But they're still going to just not worth it. They took their back camps, and now going to push the lane up.
I must say, I really like Bakuto Finn, the teleporting animation, because he actually ate Suzy up. Just a fun fact, I just saw Quarter4 porting back, and I saw that little moth that comes out of a Bakuto Finn, and Finn plays with it for a little, and then eats it up. But anyways, Impunity, and we saw Quarter4 on this Finn before, and he generally plays very aggressively, as on Finn at least, in the game before this, or rather the last series at least, when Quarter4 was on that Finn. However, the side of Infamous, they can't really just push the early game, because we know when Batiste has got empowerment, and you just need that, just need a little more CP damage overall as compared to Celeste to put out a lot of damage when you're empowered with those bad mojos, and of course that Ordain as well. But a fight will be breaking out here.
Yeah, Boots was used by Shi and by Bluxty to try and chase and then to run away from that Elder Tree, and SNK is going very low. He's not anymore. Afterburn will punt him back. He will get the stun there onto Glaive. 1 stack, and SNK is going to fall. No, DevQ does not want to chase, but Quarter4 does. He's going to try and use his polite company. It's not quite enough. SNK with the Storm Guard to stay alive. DevQ couldn't chase, he left it to Quarter4. Quarter4 couldn't finish. Spaghetti with the plays, and he's going to try and go into Quarter4. That's very risky, because Bluxty is waiting in the bush. Core collapse is going to come down pretty soon, and Bluxty is going to try and Spaghetti's trying to ring around the Rosie as far as he can. That's not great coordination. Afterbird out of the core collapse, but it doesn't matter. Finn just having a bit of a play with his moth, and he wants to port home, and he will be able to get home. DevQ will probably be okay as well.
Yep, unless SNK though runs out of Storm Guard, and that is what that happens. And I want to say it's very well played coming out from Impunity right there. But like you say, it was a lack of coordination there. All the kill would be cleaner, but I'll have to take that back because SNK, you have to take that back because SNK actually manhandled DefQ on that glaive and did take glaive down.
Glaive slightly overstaying in the end. I was saying SNK wouldn't pick up the kill because I was expecting Glaive to just port home, but no, he decided that he could 1v1, and the answer was no. Called of our flight company going to bring DefQ back into lane. Quite really short cooldowns, respawn timers, and DefQ now is going to freeze the wave because he doesn't like Black Feather farming, so he's just going to stand there. Black Feather's actually farming really well. He was having a bit of trouble early on to secure the last hits, but now DefQ is like, nah, you're not going to farm well anymore. I'm just gonna freeze this lane, and you cannot chase because you haven't got your captain, and I've got Fluxity waiting in this bush for when you overextend for the minion, and that is going to be Hogarth missing. Great feint of heart by Spaghetti to dodge the core collapse, and in the end, Infamous are okay despite that frozen lane from Impunity, and now we're able to farm up. DefQ wants to port home. He can't quite get Sword Blades yet, so it would be a bit of a waste.
Yep, and we constantly think that Blue City with that merciless pursuit, or rather SNK with that merciless pursuit onto Blue City, and we constantly think that Black Feather really needs to have that Rose offensive before he can just get away from team fights. But we see the feint of hearts used on Spaghetti in a very different manner, in a very defensive manner, just feint of hearting into a minion, and that way you can get out. And he dodged actually a stun, a core collapse coming out from Celeste as well, so very well played on keeping himself alive. But all in all, we are seeing a relatively passive game throughout between Impunity and Infamous, very much like the first game. They really just want to get their items up. They want to find the opportune moment to actually just go in and just destroy either team, whether Infamous onto Impunity or Impunity onto Infamous. But of course, all in all, I must say, like you mentioned as well in the draft phase, Spaghetti on this Black Feather definitely will be the deal closer, for the side of Infamous.
Yeah, definitely, and now Infamous looking to try and fight in this lane. Spaghetti, as you said, is not level 6, so now he is. Speak of level 6, and it will arrive. Spaghetti now is able to dive in onto Bluxty so much more freely. He doesn't have to waste his feint of heart on minions to try and dodge core collapse. He can just dodge it. He's going to get a reflex block when he goes to shop next, but hasn't got it just for this fight. And there's no level 6s on Court of Art or SNK, and so no real need to fight at the moment. Infamous looking for a sentry, possibly. Shingy wants it, and Spaghetti and SNK are like, okay, yep, sure. We think Celeste is being greedy with the port. She wasn't, and this will be an easy sentry for Infamous. But what is Impunity going to do to counter that? Looks like they're going to push the wave in, and Glaive is actually going to rotate straight to the back camps of Infamous. A little bit of vision probably would have stopped that, but I think DefQ will easily be able to get away. There's really no chance of Glaive being caught out when he's in the enemy jungle.
Yep. It's either that or, the side of Infamous at this point in time really can just push into... Oh, but Chingy is back in the jungle. DefQ will be porting back unless Spaghetti... Oh.
Nope. Oh. Wait, DefQ doesn't decide to port. That was very interesting from DefQ. He would have easily gotten away, but he decided now, I'd rather go to lane, actually. So if you're not going to face check the bush, I'll just walk past you and we'll be friends. So yeah, Spaghetti, you're going to go back up to lane. He's going to go Fade of Heart, actually, onto Bluxty. There's a res offensive to try and get in. He needs to get another charge to try and dodge any core collapse that will come out from the Celeste. It's still available. Bluxty still nice and healthy. Fountain saved for both people. So just a bit of poke, I guess, from Black Feather, but he did use one of his ult charges. And the Fearsome Shade is available for Batiste. Catherine going to go in, stun onto Bluxty. Spaghetti looking to go in. Nope, that's going to be the ordained onto DefQ, and he's going to wait for it to expire. Afterburn into the Solar Storm. That's going to be an easy kill. Lots of damage did go onto Bluxty by the bad Empower Bad Mojo from Batiste before he fell. Now Spaghetti looking to dive in. That's going to be a part. He will dodge the core collapse with his Rose offensive, but it's not enough damage. Fountain used fantastically by Cordovar to keep Bluxty alive, and SNK was not as successful with Shingy, who did fall, and now it's down to Spaghetti, going to be able to clear this wave, and he'll want to port home with about 1,500 gold. DefQ is there though. Spaghetti not going to even bother. He's just going to go straight towards Bluxty and then turn around, realise Bluxty got the tree in, let's just fight, let's just farm.
Oh, Quatavor in a very, very bad position.
Quatavor is Finn is slow. Afterburn is onto the minion, not going to pump back Spaghetti or SNK, and now pull. There is Bluxty there. He could go for it. He's going to flare out SNK porting home, and it is going to pull him in. That'll be a dead SNK. Goodbye. Get yourself a Crucible, or else that pull is going to hurt a lot, especially onto Xingyi.
But besides, that was an excellent pull coming out from Quarterfall there just to secure SNK. Spaghetti might have an answer to this turret push coming out from Impunity.
Yeah, the pull just on the edge of its effective range, and that is a lovely Fearsome Shade to help Xingyi secure the kill onto Bluxty. He actually silenced Finn with that fear so that he couldn't use his block. Well, he didn't have a fountain actually up, so nothing he could have done to help Bluxty stay alive. Bluxty is still going pretty glass cannon, which is risky, and now DefQ will be the next one to fall. Great push from Infamous. They need to back out of this turret range and then wait for the minions and now go in, and that should be an easy turret for Infamous. Quarterbar is going to think about it. He's going to show himself. That's a horrible position for Quarterbar to be in. SNK is going to try and go over. He's going to boots away, and Quarterbar will be able to back off towards his team. It was very risky showing himself, but he manages to use boots and get out.
Yep, but one thing's for sure, Infamous, or rather the side of Impunity, really gets the power spike when Quarterfall gets the level 8, or rather that overdrive on Quibble. That way, you know, there's just 3 stuns that's coming out from the side of Impunity, and that basically might be able to lock Spaghetti, this very nimble Black Feather down. But all in all, very well played from Infamous. This exchanging turrets and or rather objectives for objectives, and looking over the goal difference, not much of goal lead for the side of Infamous. Granted, they have got a 1k gold lead, but the next deciding factor will be this particular turret. If not, then a fight over gold mine. Xingyi bootsing past Quarterfall.
Yep, same thing that Quarterbar did to Xingyi. Xingyi's boots through the whole team, and you're going to be okay. What do you think, Luxury, about the epic up of Catherine as a Crucible for the second item? Do you like it, or do you think it's not the smartest idea against the Finn? Because clearly SNK's trusting Spaghetti to Rose Offensive and Xingyi to block themselves.
Yeah, that is obviously what is going to happen, but maybe, you know, the side of Infamous, what they'll do is basically just stun out Quarterball, silencing him that way, and just drop the silence down, and if that fails, there you go.
There could be an engage, and there will be. There's the Mushhammer going to come down, silencing up Bluxty. That's not the target. That is the target you want to focus down. That's not the target you want silenced if you're Impunity. And that's going to be onto DefQ. Lots of focus, and SNK is going to fall, going to take that next turret shot. But will it be for the greater good? Quarterbar going very low. Rose Offensive, one more basic. Black Feather gets the ace. And Infamous looking to take one turret.
Yep, one turret, and probably the gold mine, if they can quite afford in terms of time-wise. They can definitely try to do it, attempt that gold mine, because the entirety of Impunity has to farm up, has to clear the lane at least, but they will just settle for that turret and just go back to shop. Very well played coming out from Infamous then, and then there you go, you know, Blue City was caught out there by the root of the minion, or rather the minion, the jungle creep at least, and then SNK just went in for that stun, and there goes Blue City from then. And so SNK just being very, very aggressive in terms of gameplay, and thus that suggests why the Echo is being picked up by the side of SNK and not that early Crucible. But honestly, thinking about it, SNK not really burning that Echo anyway, so maybe the Crucible will come in handy. But there's one thing that will be an up point for Spaghetti, is that Spaghetti really just wants to be in the midst of fight.
Speaking of Spaghetti, he's going into DefQ in the middle of the fight indeed, and DefQ is most likely going to block the Finn, force the cause with him. So Rose Offensive, and that's a lovely Fearsome Shade onto Bluxty, taking on damage. The last timer comes down, not quite enough damage to take Bluxty down. Double kill for Black Feather onto the Finn, but Bluxty survives the Slither, and now this will be a gold mine. Lovely breaking point stacks built up by Spaghetti in that fight.
Yep, and like I said, Spaghetti really wants to be in the midst of the fight anyway, so even if you do pull me into your allies, then good for me, right? Because I don't want to be far away, I'm not a mage, I want to be in your face, I want to be putting damage right onto your carries where they will be surrounding you, because as a Finn, you want your carries to be fighting around you, and that is what a Finn is for. You protect your Celeste by building this very thick wall, and you have Glaive just diving into the backlines, trying to take out Xingyi on that mid-range mage, like you mentioned, but that is just not very workable at this point in time, because if DefQ do go in with that afterburn, punt, you know, all 3 members or one of the members of Infamous into, you know, his team, it will be like Quarterfall with that False Accord. And if DefQ do afterburn in just to get into the back lines, Infamous, or rather Spaghetti and Chingy, will be nowhere to be found because both of them are very close range heroes. They want to fight up right in your face and they don't want to be anywhere else but behind your bum or your face. So there you have it. So honestly, like you said, Infamous definitely drafted so much better as compared to, you know, Impunity right there. But, you know, then again, Quartervore really wants to wait for, you know, the overdriven Quibo. That way provides an extra layer of CC onto Infamous. And that way, that might just change fights all around.
It definitely could be what we're looking for. And Bluxy able to port homes. Infamous did not spot that. Now Finn looking for the Force to Core. There's still no Crucible, but there is a no wave echo on Catherine already. And Finn is just not quite sure. He wants to manage to pull in Chingy, but not Spaghetti. And that was an interesting no wave. Just not up for another 30 seconds. Catherine literally using it and backing off. But I suppose it's on a reasonably short cooldown, so that's not too much trouble for Infamous. And now they're just going to rotate down. Blackfeather picked up a Soul Blade. That's really big. Blackfeather is almost fully built. Just needs War Treads. And SNK going to boots towards the wave. He really doesn't want to lose that turret. And SNK is probably going to rotate back down shot to sell him. Actually, he bought tier 2 boots, so that was a bit of a waste of those boots. And Infamous just going to back off.
Yeah, but honestly, SNK will be looking to get the... wait, 1 second. I am seeing a chronograph being picked up by
Contraption,
SNK right
it'll be. It'll be into contraption.
Yeah, probably the contraption. Oh,
DefQ does get the turret. It block used by Spaghetti. The second block used by Spaghetti. DefQ. Wait. Then he's going to go for the Captain Blast Tremor. But that was nice play from DefQ. He waited for the block from Spaghetti. He waited for the Rose offensive, and then he punted him back. That's just so troll when you're playing Glaive and you just after burn you wait for the block and then punt them. It just feels bad to be playing against that. And Quartervore is the little troll himself. He is waiting for this gold mine. He's going to float out. He's got a Force to Core to try and pull back, and he's going to Solar Storm actually. Solar Storm, what a steal! The vision from Quartervore giving Bluxty the chance. Solar Storm for that immense gold payout.
Yep, very sad day for Infamous, but they'll probably just shrug it off with this Kraken coming up onto the fold, and they immediately pay attention to Kraken. I mean, why not? Solar Storm will not be up for the next 40 or rather 35 seconds, so they have all the time in the world. Had Quartervore tried to steal this Kraken, maybe it would be a big turnaround, but overall, because it was just a gold mine, this gave, you know, Impunity a slight, you know, soften the gold gap between Impunity and Infamous. I mean, it will not amount to much whatsoever. Infamous definitely looking stronger as compared to the previous game with this particular draft. I think it was just down to drafting all in all. In the previous game itself, we saw Infamous just losing out in draft, and in this game, they are looking just so much stronger because just down to draft. And of course, it's secured draft, basically Spaghetti secured draft with that Blackfeather being picked up going up against Glaive and Bluesy on that Celeste.
Yeah, so Bluesy now is fantastic at taking down Kraken, already down to almost half health. It looks like Infamous with the 15-minute Kraken are going to get one turret and then not much else. You really cannot push with a Blackfeather and Batiste against Celeste, but they're going to try. SNK is going to go in. There's going to be a stun on Echo, second stun onto DefQ and the Ordained. He's just trapped. Lovely blast jam onto all three. Finn is silenced up. Blackfeather tried to secure the kill, and it looks like Infamous actually going to be able to get 2 turrets with this Kraken push, but Impunity have just shot, and that's another stun on DefQ. He's going to block up there. He's not going to block the Fearsome Shade. Actually, Bluxty will be able to, and he's going to be able to afterburn into the base. Lovely Solar Storm doing so much work from Bluxty, and Infamous aren't in a good position to fight. Spaghetti going to get pulled in. That's exactly where he wants to be. He's onto Bluxty. The block on the Quibble. Spaghetti is staying alive, but he will die. Now Shingy trying to do the plays. He's got a bad mojo available. No, he hasn't got the energy using that Ordained. Now DefQ, but enough when we blocked up. Shingy now does have to try and just basic attack for the win, but that's not how you play Crystal Batiste. DefQ with the ace and Impunity have a chance to turn this game around.
Yep, like said, Spaghetti really wants to be up front in person with Blue City and that Celeste. However, DefQ being left unchecked whatsoever, Chingy can only provide so much in on any team fights. All in all, very good fearsome shade, I must say, coming out from Chingy. However, it was blocked, if I remember correctly, or rather, if I did not see that wrongly per se. But DefQ will be able to secure the second turret of Infamous. SNK goes in with a merciless pursuit. Now with Gauntlet being used by DefQ, but DefQ will just stroll away with that afterbirth.
SNK really wanted the glaive, but I was wrong actually. Not a contraption picked up, an aftershock picked up for SNK to go for that merciless pursuit. Does count as a basic attack onto Bluxity because Bluxity has no defense at all. But I guess that could work well. And I suppose against the Finn, who needs Crucible? I guess because don't build Crucible against Finn if you're in solo queue. But apparently, Infamous deciding it's just not worth it because he wants to be called in. He's going to be punted back. He's going to go defensive away. He doesn't want to quite fight because Batiste is not nearby. And no ultimates used for Impunity, but actually SNK did use did not use the Echo and did use the Blast Tremor. So that's now on cooldown for another 45 seconds. And Impunity could look to take a Kraken from this.
Yep, it's either they go for the Kraken and risk a steal coming up from Chingy with that fearsome shade, or a fight in general. But DevQ at this point in time really needs to be checked. SNKs and their... Oh.
That's going to be the stun. That's going to be the Echo onto Bluxty on the stun. That's exactly how Captain so far. And the Blast Tremor is 30 seconds. We're going in lovely fierce and gets both members of Impunity pulled back from the Finn. Forced a cord. Black Feather's going to get the kill easily onto Coeur d'Ivoire. Finn tried to buy some boots and use them, but it was nowhere near enough. He's actually surviving for a long time. It's like he's got the legendary talent. 960 execute means you're not going to sustain through that. SNK picked up a Crystal Infusion, and Infamous need one more turret, then deciding not to win the game. They're thinking Celeste up in 20 seconds. Glaive is up. We're going to go for the safe option and try and get this Kraken. Glaive, no chance of securing this, stealing this given where he is. And Infamous looking like they could win this game.
Yep, if you were to ask me, I think with Finn's legendary talent, Quarter 4 wouldn't have died whatsoever. I've played against that in Blitz, and it was just an art of pain to go up against.
Spaghetti thinking about the wall jump, and SNK using boots. No, not quite, just using Merciless Pursuit to try and come in and get a stun. But no, they're going to back off.
It was an art of pain to go up against. However, Impunity, or rather Infamous, might be that art of pain that Impunity will be facing now that Helga is up on the fold and pushing into the base of Impunity.
Bluxty can do a lot of damage. Can pull in onto Shingy and a stun. For SNK, that is the Spaghetti was trying to go onto the Vein Crystal turret, but Bluxty is going to have to run away into the base, away from Spaghetti, and they're going onto the turret, and Shingy is available in the backline, but the Black Feather being Atlas fantastically, meaning the turret is not going to fall. Now it's gone down, Spaghetti is going to fall as well, and now DevQ is running onto Shingy, but the Kraken is bearing down onto the Vein Crystal. What will Shingy do to kill onto DevQ, and Bluxty gets a return onto Catherine, but will it be enough? Bluxty has not got energy with the double. Shingy doesn't get the triple, it doesn't matter. The game will go over to him.
Yeah, it will be going over.
He does get the triple anyway.
The triple going over to Chingy. Oh, wow, that was quite an amazing game, or rather the final moments of Impunity to have witnessed from the desk. And as casters, all in all, both teams played very, very well. But we will be heading into a third game to decide who will be first and who will be second in this current week.
I'm certainly excited to see the third game between these two teams. Shingy going for two feet, 2 boots. That's how you got to play. No, but Shingy had an extra slot and needed to have the boots active for the next team fight. So just deciding to pick up another pair. That's why it does look a bit weird at the end screen, but it makes perfect sense when you're in the middle of the game. And it was really interesting to see how Bluxity did so much work, but because they didn't fight enough in the early game, they lost the early game to Infamous. Even though it looked like Bluxity was going to win the fight, didn't have Halcyon charges for energy sustain, so it was a reasonably easy for Shingy to basically just 1v3 at the end with no energy on Celeste.
It was definitely very, very easy for Shingy to just 1v3. And at a point in time, if I'm not wrong, Finn was actually silenced by that fearsome shade and thus couldn't provide any more for the team. And Celeste was just caught in a very odd position going to the frontwards of Finn just to land that heliogenesis. And that way, with one bad mojo, a very, very nasty mojo coming up from Chingy on the Batiste, immediately just put her down to nothing, and it was just down to Quarter 4 and Chingy to battle it out for that triple kill before the crystal exploded, and Chingy manages to get the triple kill. So very well played. I mean, all in all, it was a very well orchestrated and calculated team fight coming out from the side of Infamous at all times, at least. Although Impunity, I must say, they put in some good work at they went in for their objectives when Infamous was caught out of position and what have you not. But all in all, Blue City was really Infamous's target.
Yeah, I think the game was really won in the draft by Infamous because they had such a good comp. They had the Black Feather to dive in. They had so much CC just to lock down Def Q or to lock down Blue City. And there was really not much chance the Finn could have. It was really interesting to see the Catherine decide to just not build a Crucible because if Batiste gets pulled in, he can boots and block away, and he'll be fine. And if Blackfeather gets pulled in, he just fights. And it was we saw once where Finn tried to pull. He's like, right, I can get Blackfeather, and then Celeste was like, no, I didn't want you to do that. And Celeste dies pretty quickly after Blackfeather's on top of her because she has no disengage. Celeste has boots and nothing else. So if you dodge the stun and you use boots when she does, you're going to easily be able to kill her as long as she has no base or turret to back off to. So yeah, well played by Infamous, and I'm really looking forward to see what comes out in this third draft. I highly doubt Batiste Cath will be let through by either side, but that is it for speculation. We're going to find out now because the draft is ready for the final game of Split 1 Week 2. Without further ado, let's head on into the draft.
Yep, we are into the draft at this point in time. And Spaghetti made a rather interesting or rather funny comment, and he says, okay, I can die in peace now as long as we don't get too old. But honestly, Infamous played very, very well, and it's quite impossible. I mean, they are balanced in terms of gameplay, however, but now Impunity, or rather Infamous, will be on the blue side and Impunity on the red, and we do see a Lance and Grace being banned out in the first phase of draft.
Yep, seeing another glaive being picked up, so very similar to the previous draft. In fact, the Catherine is the most expected pick, but I think it would work. It baits out the Batiste ban, and I think if the draft goes very similar to the previous game, then it's pretty obvious Infamous won't pick up Celeste because they know Impunity could just Black Feather and counter it once again. I still think Catherine's a fine pick. Maybe Arden or Lyra might work better if that's more comfortable for you. But yeah, it does make sense to go with what happened in the previous game. Yeah, pick the Catherine and then ban something like Vox. Don't ban Blackfeather or Batiste. If you don't ban them, you force the enemy to ban Batiste.
Yep, definitely. So it's either or at this point in time, but I don't think the entirety of Impunity would actually settle for that Batiste being picked up. They do not quite have a history of playing Batiste like the other teams, like that of Infamous, like that of Elite 8. Elite 8, one of the major Batiste player on the anime Save Me, if not, then Official Hind. But talking about this game itself, I don't see Blue City actually just fulfilling the Batiste role that maybe Impunity will or might be looking for, else Infamous will just pick up the Batiste. But we will be seeing the healers being banned out, and that would be Lyra going for banned out for the side of Impunity. And as for the second ban for the side of Infamous, honestly, they can ban out a lot of heroes. One of the heroes would be Batiste. There you go. Which is quite weird because I was talking about how Blue City cannot quite fulfill the Batiste role.
Yeah, I think Batiste it's an easy ban. There's nothing else that you need to get rid of. There are all the carries still on the fold. Idris, Black, Celeste, Scarf. The heroes we've seen banned quite a lot are still available because there's been a lot of captain emphasis in the ban phase. So I think Blackfeather still makes a lot of sense. Idris would make just as much sense as a pick. But if they want to run maybe a Celeste, then Blackfeather obviously makes sense now. They're going to take the Idris away. It's quite a smart call, and now there's really a lot that Infamous could do here. They could pick up maybe the Black Feather Taka combo. Vox, we're going to see Vox Fortress? No, Vox Arden. So it's going to be probably a double weapon comp with the Infamous are going to run, and Impunity to counter this. Well, CP Idris is great against Vox, and so they just have to counter the glaive, and Black Feather does that perfectly.
Yep, definitely. So, all in all, they can just settle for the CP Black Feather that Blue City has played before. But honestly, with the glaive, Black Feather in general is a very good counter into that of Glaive, because Glaive works on burst and Black Feather works on sustain, and Black Feather really wants to build that breaking point as well, and so can stay in fights for a very, very long time. And on top of that as well, with the Catherine providing the CCs, then Black Feather will be a relevant pickup at this point in time, but we will be seeing a draft reset. However, we see a difference in terms of Catherine plays coming out from both teams from the first and second game. With Quartervore on Catherine, generally Quartervore plays a rather passive one, 19 minutes in, generally around 10 or 19 stacks if I remember correctly, whereas for when SNK was on that Catherine, SNK had about 25 stacks, about 10 or so, 19 minutes in. There you go, that is a timeline that I'm trying to gauge them at, and that is one thing that we must keep in mind as well. Quartervore used to be a very, very aggressive roamer. He can really just go in, land those stacks, and then bugger off afterwards and go in again. That way he can tank up for the team. And I mean, all in all, it is for good measure to have extra shield, extra armor at the end of the day. But the Ardent being picked up by the side of Infamous, that is something I do not quite sit well with.
What captain would you have preferred to see as opposed to Arden? Obviously, Finn could have worked, but if maybe they don't want to play Finn, what else could they have gone with apart from the Arden?
I wanted to say Finn. So I will not say.
I said if they don't want to, they don't like playing Finn. The captain isn't comfortable playing Finn.
Yeah, there you go. Then Arden would be, the next best choice. But honestly, with Fox and of course Glaive, I think Finn just works very well with both of these heroes. And if not, then we've seen a couple of Romadagios, although not spectacularly well, but of course Arden or Finn will be the next best choice. Granted, for me, I would have preferred the Finn, not the Arden, but Arden provides relevant support and of course a space to duo in terms of that gauntlet as well. But of course Idris works very well in tight spaces. That is something to keep in mind. We will be seeing a CP Idris, I hope, and not a CP Cruel.
You can't really hope to you can't hope to see a CP Cruel. You can dream to see a CP Cruel. I think it's almost certainly going to be a CP Idris, and I hope that he's going to build Frostburn first and not Shatterglass, because Vox is just going to be able to dodge all your chakrams if you go Shatterglass first, whereas if you go Frostburn, it will be a lot harder for Vox to dodge, and you'll get a lot more damage out in the team fight. But we just have to wait and see what he decides to go for. In terms of the draft, I think it's very even between these two teams. You've got a double weapon comp, which means Idris will be itemized against that, with probably an early metal jacket as compared to what you normally get on CP Idris. But that also means that Cruel can't build as much tankiness as he might want, because most Cruels want to build double defense, Aegis and metal jacket, or Aegis and Atlas. But the Aegis is pointless in this composition unless they go Crystal Vox, which they probably won't. So maybe that means Cruel has to build a way he doesn't want to, and this could be in favor of Infamous.
Yep, definitely. But Blue City on Cruel, I think I've seen him play Cruel a couple of times, and I think he is the one that came up with the spell sword we saw in a few games back, and it worked out pretty well for him because he just wants to stay, and he tanks up generally. He has a spell sword, he has got a Swifty, and he just goes for a lot of tank items, be in the front, and want to stay in a fight for a very, very long time, just stacking up stacks after stacks. So that is one thing to keep in mind, and I must agree with you. But however, Spaghetti might go for the CP Fox.
Yeah, double attack speed is very odd for a start on any kind of Fox, be it weapon or crystal, because obviously that is good for early game attack speed, but surely you want a little bit of weapon power. That will help you with farming, and even if you're going CP Vox, the Book of Eulogies might be useful. So that does imply that you might be going for weapon power, because CP only has one attack speed item, whereas weapon power does have multiple. And it looks like both teams started with their backs together and now contesting over this Elder Treant. And we are going to see a weapon power Cruel, so that's confirmed. And Shingy is able to secure the Treant with the Twisted Stroke. Now Impunity just going to back off and go to farming.
Yeah, and there is one thing to note as well. I know there is an emergence of a certain Vox build where they go maximum attack speed with basically double tornado trigger and what have you, not very similar to that of Petal, but I must agree with you, Weapon Blade would just allow Spaghetti to farm, have an easier time in lane in terms of farming overall. But all in all, I guess the extra attack speed helps you clear as well and put out much more basic attacks in a shorter period of time, and that way you can just outfarm DevQ as an Idris, which has a lot of trouble in that early game in terms of farming.
Yeah, and Idris is going to have a real tough time wave up. It's been pushed in very nicely by Spaghetti. I'm so interested to see what kind of build that is going to be. And Bluestee's looking like he wants to try and secure this Elder Tree, but he is 1 versus 3. And Spaghetti doesn't have vision in that bush, but Cool didn't quite go invisible in time. So Infamous able to secure the Elder Tree, and DefQ still stuck, just trying to farm this wave under turret. I mean, Vox did lose a little bit of CS, but he is free to build up even more attack speed, and he is going weapon power, confirmed with a couple of weapon blades. So it could be a tension bow double tornado trigger build that we've seen on Vox. Maybe it'll be an all new kind of Vox build that might utilize Poison Shiv early on, maybe an early breaking point.
Yeah, if not, we are seeing Chingy going for the Storm Crown, which means we might see an on-hit glaive here. If not, just an Aftershock Storm Crown, Tension Bow, or Tension Bow Aftershock Storm Crown, either or. But we might just see all the 3 items as cores for Chingy, just for that accelerated accelerated cooldown on that Afterburn, just to set for Spaghetti on that Vox Blue City.
Yeah, speaking of Afterburn, Bluestee's going to be punted back. Quite what he wanted, and unable to even try and seal away this tree. And well, I wasn't even thinking about the Crystal Power Glaive because it's so long to Glaive be effective with the nerfs to the Afterburn cooldown. But I guess it still can work going Aftershock. Perhaps we're going to see an Aftershock, Stormcrown Aftershock Spell Sword build on this Glaive. Maybe we're going to see that being used. It will help him with a bit of energy, a bit of weapon power as well. But it's more likely that we're going to see lots more cooldowns, so a clockwork could work. Even a contraption on Crystal Glaive actually does really well, just giving you way less cooldown on your Afterburn. But yeah, I'd love to see what Shingy decides to come up with this more support version of the Glaive.
Yep, definitely. I mean, it has been a while since we thought a utility Glaive. Blue City here, though, not having an easy time in that jungle with the amount of rotations coming out from Spaghetti on this Vox, and together with SNK on the Arden as well. Chingy doing a very good job pressurizing. Oh, DefQ.
DefQ going to get a little bit of poke onto Shingy, using that Afterburn to try and secure some CS. But Spaghetti's just going to rotate back up to lane. And yeah, there's been an awful lot of rotations from Infamous, but now it's a team fight. 3 versus 3. Everyone is in lane. DefQ with the 3 crystal items to get his perk unlocked. It's really a really gold efficient build to go Heavy Prism, Eclipse Prism, and Crystal Bit. It's not too slot efficient, obviously using all 3 slots just for that. But it really is good if you haven't quite got the gold for Frostburn or for Shatterglass. Interesting Chakram, but it does help him secure all the waves. So well played, DefQ. He's farming up really well. It looks like he might have stolen some jungle from Bluxley, but really Bluxley's just been completely starved of his jungle. And actually DefQ is now going to be hyper farmed because Bluxley's thinking, yeah, I can get my. I'm not sure that doesn't build into anything. The 6 Sins and Blazing Salvo, but he's going to build into the Spell Sword, as you said, with the Hourglass now built into Chronograph. So Bluxty is going to be just a support, as will Xingyi. So now we're going to see a Vox v Idris, and I was right about Vox. It's an early breaking point, probably into Tornado Trigger. Bluxty going in, that Man's Rush. He has got from Hell's Heart available, but no tier 3 items just yet, so probably not worth going too aggressive. But he's just going to camp in the top bush, and SNK knows he's there. Going to take a little bit of damage, but SNK will be absolutely fine. He can self-vanguard if necessary, and he will. Now, Impunity trying to push this wave up. Spaghetti did rotate down with Xingyi to get that mid-healing triumph. Now Xingyi after Idris, wait for it, does come a bit wide. Luke's going to go Dead Man's Rush onto Spaghetti. Little bit of poke from Xingyi with that twisted stroke, and both teams going to back off to their own jungles.
Yep. The build coming up from Spaghetti, I must say it is rather peculiar. Very different build, just concentrating and just a lot of emphasis on attack speed. But with this build, I don't see how Spaghetti can actually sustain through the amount of bursts that might just come out from the side of Impunity, because we saw this build before, and that is from EU, if I'm not wrong, with that breaking point into double tornado trigger. You have a lot of attack speed. You want to gradually build up your damage and of course your 100% crit as well, because breaking point provides you with that. But all in all, it takes a lot of times, it takes a lot of healing for you, and of course a lot of sustain as well, that might just come from your team.
There's going to be the depth from Hellsart does sneak past SNK onto Spaghetti, but he's not going to deep. Just getting a bit of poke onto the captain. Now he's going to be punted back. And Fountain from Quadrivoire. That was a bit unnecessary to keep Luxty alive. There's going to be the stun landing onto Spaghetti. He's going to jump away, but it will not be enough. Luxty's going onto the backline, and that's a lovely afterburn and Fountain to keep Spaghetti alive. Spectral Smite nowhere near enough, and that is the first blood to Arden. Lovely Shotgun to get one hit onto Spaghetti. I'm happy DefQ went Frostburn first. That's how I like my Idrises to play. Afterburn onto Quadrivoire. Spaghetti though baited into the kill, into the death, sorry, and DefQ picks that one up. So Xingyi trying to be nice to his box, but ends up taking his life away. And now DefQ going to farm this wave on the turret, and Xingyi looks like it's going for Spell Sword. No, he sold his Weapon Blade. He's going for Aftershock. I was hoping we'd see a Spell Sword Glaive, but not to be today.
Yep, I was hoping for that as well. And with a Spell Sword, when you are in the midst of fight, but generally he don't want to be in the midst of fight anyways. He wants to go in with that Afterburn, back off for a little, wait for the cooldown to come up, wait for Afterburn to come up at least, and then go in again with the Afterburn just to, put anybody out of position. But that Afterburn then, that triggered Spaghetti to go in with
Speaking of going in, Bluxty's going in, so SNK taking so much damage. That is down into the health from Hellsart, but that's the poor positioning from DefQ. He went far too aggressive, and the rest of his team were backing off. And now Bluxty's going in on Spaghetti. Will be able to secure the kill with the Spectral Smite, but Xingyi on this Crystal Glaive can just afterburn for days, afterburn for years. Impunity could risk a goldmine, but Bluxty has very little goldmine taking skill without having a Storm Crown. So he's just going to go. Looks like Bluxty's going to try and find some jungle, but nothing's up. So a nice couple of kills for Impunity, but they're not going to get anything out of it.
Yep, definitely. So, there you go. SNK going in.
Maybe they want a bit more. SNK going to take a lot of damage from Bluxty. He's stacked, getting his Spectral Smite and run away from. He's just coming up to lane. And look at that wave for Vox to clear. With this a lot of attack speed, he'll clear it reasonably quickly. We saw Tension Bow double Tornado Trigger and Breaking Point last item in the EU. SNK blocks the Blast Tremor, which blocks the core, so the Mercer's Pursuit, which would have stunned him out of his gauntlet. That is the next level thinking from SNK. Quadrivoire was thinking, yeah, easy stun, out the gauntlet. SNK, no, I've got a reflex block. And it was kind of a waste of the Crucible, but it was worth it to get that gauntlet down. And Infamous do kind of waste that ultimate. Impunity looking for a fight, because from Hell's Heart is not up in 20 seconds, so they're just going to farm.
Yep, probably Spaghetti will want to go for that Tyrant's Monaco and another Tornado Trigger at the end, just for that 100% crit chance. But I guess Breaking Point do give you 100% crit chance once you get, enough stacks on it. Altogether, it is still quite a mystery as to what Spaghetti will go, but if I can assure you that if Infamous can protect that of Spaghetti well, Spaghetti can definitely score a lot of triple kills, and on top of that as well, put on a lot of damage in that of the late game.
Speaking of damage, there's going to be the Chakram one hit on Spaghetti. DefQ has gone for the Frostburn Shatterglass build that we liked to see previously. He's going to work into Broken Myth next item. It really helps when people don't itemize early against you, just going for that pure crystal power, it is really effective. And DefQ going to be farming up a little bit of Bluxty's jungle. Now Bluxty manages to secure that one. And once again, Quadrivoire looking like he wants to go for maybe a null wave with that chronograph build up, but we're not quite sure. Chakram doesn't quite hit Spaghetti, but he's going onto the turret. Lots of damage. There is a Crucible available for SNK, so Quadrivoire Blast Jam will most likely be blocked. That means that from Hell's Heart won't be, unless Spaghetti and Xingyi bring out their own blocks, and now they want the turret. SNK going in. That's going to be Vox jumping away. Vanguard back to Spaghetti. Xingyi going to be just waiting for a good afterburn position. Has got the Storm Crown Aftershock completed on this glaive. So on-hit glaive, going to see what's going to be happening. And there's going to be a lot of damage onto SNK. Blast Hammer easily blocked out by SNK. That was a little bit too obvious from Cordovan. He is very low on energy, so probably doesn't want to fight, but a lovely double chakram onto SNK, forcing the healing flask out. Cordovan very low, waiting for the stun. He's going to use it onto... He would stun SNK at the corner, but it did not work. That is from Hell's Heart, blocked by Shingy, body blocked, but not actually reflex blocked. Now that is Bluxty Atlasing Vox. Vox has nothing when he's Atlas with this breaking point tornado trigger build. Now DefQ is just free to deal some damage. Shingy gonna boots him, but not going to go too aggressive. And now DefQ is still full health. Spaghetti with a good dodge on the chakram, and Infamous happily going to take 1 kill.
Yep, happily taking 1 kill, but honestly, not much objective tunnel visioning coming out from both teams. Granted, Infamous did manage to take the first tier turret of Impunity, but that is because Quartervore was just so concentrated on a team fight earlier on and just ignored the fact that Spaghetti was just taking the turret under their nose, and that is something that Impunity probably have to work on. Spaghetti at this point in time definitely going for the second tornado trigger, if I'm not wrong. If the build that Spaghetti is coming out with, very, very paper, I would prefer if Slumbering Husk is built that so he can sustain a little more. But with the amount of CCs coming out from the side of Impunity, I guess the reflex block would work wonders. If not, then at least a Crucible as well adds more health, gives you more health. And
the problem with going for Slumbering Husk is against the CP Idris, 1 chakram and your Husk is procced and it's then useless. So I think you have to get the agency. That would have almost procced us there with 400 damage. Last time not blocked up, and that is a Vox wait for it used as well. Atlas was not blocked. Booster is going to take loads of damage, but Vox is not going to do that much in return with the Atlas. It has now worn off. Bluxty is just waiting. Fountain used very preemptively by Infamous, and now Cordovan going to not quite stun Spaghetti out of the ult, and Spaghetti will fall, and that's a double kill for Idris. Can DefQ do it? Onto Shingy. That's 1 chakram hit. Shingy is going to get a double onto Idris. Now it's Cordovan once again. We've got a Catherine via Glaive. Who's going to get the kill? Cordovan has got the Storm Guard, and Shingy will not afterburn Cordovan with that Storm Guard active. In the end, it looks like it will be 2 for 2, but Shingy's got Storm Guard, and Shingy's got afterburn, and Cordovan's got Storm Guard. So Cordovan thinking he can take this, and no, both players going to back off.
Yeah, both players will be backing off indeed, and with Chingy and that consistent afterburn coming up every 5 seconds or so, it is definitely, Chingy really has to use those afterburn really, really strategically. It's either you use it as a peel or a direct engage, whereas for Spaghetti going for this very glass cannon-y build, I reckon Chingy really has to peel for Spaghetti and hard peel for Spaghetti. Arden can provide a health barrier for Spaghetti all in all, but the issue with the high health barrier is that it doesn't block or anything. It just helps you sustain a little more damage coming out from the enemies. And looking over at Blue City's build, he do not quite have a lot of damage. Instead, he is just tanking up, like I mentioned earlier on.
Yep, SNK taking a little bit of poke from Idris, has got a Focus Myth completed now. We'll be stacking up on Shingy, a little bit of damage on the tower, but way up in 5 seconds again. Cordovan using that Storm Guard, looking to see for possibly an entrance to use that Blast Tremor. Spaghetti needs to infuse, but has got 4 completed. Breaking Point, Double Tornado, and Tyrants is a real menace to try and face against, but Bluxty has obviously got an Atlas, and so has Cordovan, so they needed Atlas Chain Spaghetti, and that will be a reasonably easy counter. SNK taking a lot of poke. Bluxty just waiting in the bush. Who's going to go and engage? Will Impunity try and siege this turret with their Crystal Idris, or are they going to go and engage and try and dive in on Spaghetti? DefQ looking to Shotgun the turret, but he's not actually going to go for it. He's just going to try and Shotgun for damage on Vox, and now Impunity looking to rotate down and either start up this Kraken or just wait in the bush. And Bluxty was spotted out. He's still going to wait in the bush though, and Infamous need to port home to get some vision to know where Bluxty is.
Yep, definitely. So we will be reaching a stage where both of these teams are very well known for just very big respects for each other. They did not want to make a fatal mistakes. All in all, Infamous at this point in time just looking slightly better with the tier 1 turret still intact, and of course a 1.5k gold lead over to them. And Impunity, they are not very far back behind, and they really need to have the initiative to go in and just force a team fight, because they have got so much CC, and as long as they take down Spaghetti, honestly the entirety of Infamous do not quite have damage whatsoever anymore.
Yeah, Spaghetti is really the main target. Shingy going for really peel for Spaghetti. So Bluxty has to block the afterburn and then try and just Atlas the Vox, completely annihilate him, and then they'll be in a good position. No Wave Gauntlet is actually a really good item against SNK because it means can't use the Crucible, can't Water Heads for Spaghetti if they do the right time. There's a Boomerang on the ultimate and it will be blocked by SNK, and that'll be on a silence actually going down because the Crucible's wasted on the from Hell's Heart. But is it a waste if they get the kill onto Cruel? Shingy doing so much damage and isn't even low. Spaghetti is on the back line just waiting to poke, still needs to buy himself an infusion. But that fight, even though there was no one infused for Infamous, they still win the fight and get one kill.
Yep, and I think it was just down to the positioning and the fact that a lucky Crucible blocked out the silence and blocked out from Hell's Heart as well, and that was very, very crucial for Infamous to win any team fights. And there was one team fight that Impunity got on top of Infamous, and that was because SNK missed a single block on Catherine's not Merciless Pursuit per se, but it was missing the Blast Tremor, the block on Blast Tremor, and thus Impunity can immediately jump onto Spaghetti, remove Spaghetti from the fight, and just turn on that to SNK, and then ultimately Chingy. But Chingy managed to get away with the infinite afterburns that he has. But all in all, it is just down to SNK, and a lot of pressure on SNK, to be honest, to be able to block out those Merciless Pursuit, not Merciless Pursuit per se, but just the Blast Tremors. So as long as SNK can block those out, then it is almost a definite win for the side of Infamous. I do not say it is 100%, but very highly likely.
Yeah, Cordovar really needs to get that null wave off onto SNK before either Blast Tremor or from Hell's Heart comes through. Because from Hell's Heart was nice, it was easily blocked. It would have been such an easy kill if that max range Boomerang full ultimate actually impacts and hits someone. So Cordovar needed to null wave before the Cruel ulted, or just as Cruel starts that max range ult, so that you cannot block both with a Crucible. And then it becomes easy for Impunity. As you said, when they have no peel with their Arden, then it becomes Spaghetti becomes basically a sitting duck. Now Cordovar, bit of damage, a little one stack. And Infusion has run out for Bluxity and Xingyi. So Xingyi does want to rotate down. Bluxity is ready to go to shot, but doesn't want to pick up an Infusion just yet. And now Infamous are going to rotate down. Xingyi has got a Crucible himself, so that's really smart. So that they can Crucible from Hell's Heart and they can Crucible the Blast Tremor. And let's see how well Infamous can use their blocks successfully. Because if SNK gets item silent, Xingyi's going to have to step up and block the Blast Tremors. Shouldn't be too hard as long as they have vision on Catherine. But how are they going to get vision if their captain is silenced and can't throw out flares? That's a bit of a problem. And now Impunity going to go forwards. Cordovar's just waiting. He's probably got his finger on the item silence, just ready to go in. But no, Bluxity's been flared out, so he's not going to go too aggressive. And DefQ doesn't really want to poke too far because he could get afterburned by Glaive. Cordovar is going to go in with the Merciless Pursuit, waiting to find someone. It's such a stalemate. We're already 20 minutes into this game almost, and it just feels like we're 10 minutes in because we haven't seen many fights. Is Nope going to wait out the afterburn? Now SNK might be the target. Nope, he's going to find out a way. Impunity just going to keep waiting. 19.5 minutes now into the game, and Cordovar going to get one more stack, and nothing else really going to happen. Nice Broken Myth stacking up for DefQ. Got up to 2 stacks. One more basic, and Shaq will be really good. But that's about 50 damage onto the turret after the barrier was taken into account, and now Impunity just rotate down once again and pick up some infusions.
Yep, all in all, it is the calm before the storm, and when it hits, it will hit very, very hard, and might just be the deciding factor between the win or lose between both of this team, Impunity and Infamous. At least Spaghetti just hiding in a very safe position, but I do not understand, honestly,
Another 50 damage down to the turret.
Oh, SNK.
Oh, SNK! That is SNK out of position. He's going to block down the Blast Tremor. He's going to go down with the Gauntlet. Great wait for it from Vox. Did silence up a couple of members, but Vox is now Atlas, so he has almost 0 damage. DefQ's gone so low. One attack from Vox is enough. Doesn't matter if you're Atlas, if you can get a basic attack to secure the kill. Infamous finally take the fight, and Cordovar gets afterburn. He will be able to run away towards his Crystal Sentry and probably not to die. Scrap that. Glaive's got an afterburn. Cordovar's gone. Ace for Infamous, and that is reasonably long death timers, and that will be an easy Kraken. What happened? SNK got caught out, but then they turned the fight around, Luxuria.
Yep, SNK got caught out right there, burned the Crucible to throw down the Gauntlet. Infamous immediately responded. Chingy came in with an afterburn, and of course, Spaghetti with that silence as well, immediately just chaining all the CCs they need to chain before Quasarvo can put out anything whatsoever. As we can tell, now we've gone wasn't used whatsoever, and thus the activatables were all popped, keeping SNK. I think SNK was down to a third health, and from then on it was just down to Chingy with those very crucial afterburns, and Spaghetti just allowed to poke from the backlines.
Yeah, definitely. That was extremely well played by Infamous, despite SNK seemingly getting out. Maybe that was did get their captain a bit low, so it forces them to do something actually for the fight. Now Idris will do quite well at poking this Kraken down. Now Infamous do want to try and win off this Kraken push. Atlas does not land onto any of the carries, and the Atlas return by Quadrivoire does actually get blocked by Spaghetti. There's the first gauntlet, and the Marsh Hammer straight up not blocked by Vox. But DefQ is going to try and as much time as he can. Glaive gets the turret, and now Shingy is going very low. Spectrus might not quite enough. DefQ going on to Spaghetti, lots of damage, but an afterburn from Shingy to kite back and heal for Spaghetti. Shingy will fall, and so will SNK, and so will Spaghetti, but the Kraken bearing down on the Vein Crystal turrets will get the second one, but not going to get all three. So Infamous going to be reasonably happy with that, although it looks like they're probably going to lose their own turret, given how long. Look at those death timers. 22 minutes into the game. Impunity could push down one turret if they want to, but it looks like they're just going to back off. And DefQ's actually got a Crucible to try and help with the echoed gauntlet that SNK is going to put down.
Yep, 30 seconds across death timer. It takes about 20 seconds to walk down at first turret. If Quasarvo is willing to tank, they can definitely push down this first turret. But however, Impunity will just be relaxed, lay back, and just look for another fight, hopefully. If not, they have about 10 seconds left. DefQ definitely pushing hard.
Yeah, DefQ easily going to be able to get this tier 1 turret with Wave. Finally gets it down after 23 minutes. And is he going to go for the tier 2? This is a risk. Hey, damage on it. A bit of damage to back off. Very smart from DefQ, because it would have been the game. And there's the gauntlet. They're going to go in. He rolls out of the gauntlet. Echo was used by SNK. Second gauntlet comes down, but Fox is outside it. And Dave punts Luxity back into the gauntlet wall. That is a great Atlas by Quadrivoire. SNK going so low. And the block on the Rush, and the second one will by Shingy, and the Echo on the afterburn from Glaive gets Bluxity into a wall, and Spaghetti's going to go very low, he's going to block the Atlas, and he will get the kill onto Bluxity. Now Spaghetti is still healthy, and the DefQ is going to get punted into Spaghetti, and he gets the kill. Maybe that wasn't quite what Shingy wanted. DefQ is going to try and run, but there's a Crystal Sentry, and Shingy gets the second kill. SNK is going to give Shingy a little bit of a speed boost, 3 seconds till that afterburn. Echo is up as well. Quadrivoire, you're not getting away from this. There's one afterburn, there's another, get punted away, and he's going to use the Echo as well himself. And the Storm Gun is available. Shingy going to try and do what he can. Quadrivoire is up the Sentry, but there's another afterburn. Atlas does come through, but will it be enough? Idris up in 30 seconds. Crawl up in 23, and they're not going to go for the win, Luxuria. They're going for Kraken. Yet another fight will happen.
Yep, another fight would happen, but this time Blue City will be up much sooner. I guess Chingy with the very low cooldowns on those afterburns definitely playing a part, and we do see the amount of damage coming out from those little puns as well that Chingy puts out. But it is just down to Spaghetti. Spaghetti as a Fox, you really... I mean, granted, you have very good damage with your current build, and you really rely on SNK. Very nice echo on that afterburn, but really rely on SNK and Chingy to keep you alive. But you are the main target after all, and with the amount of attack speed that you have, it is just so very difficult, you know, to just dance around the fold with Blue City on this crew that can just easily stick onto you. And on top of that as well, DefQ with Shimmer Strike can just be into you, you know, when he's in danger, and then come out again, immediately execute you on that exit, and then you will be in for a very tough time.
Infamous are waiting in the top bush, but they have to run out now because the Kraken is there. Gauntlet wasted, not going to get any stun. Second gauntlet. Spaghetti from Hell's Heart does land, and he just starts to track on the... That is disaster for Impunity. Blue's is going to try and get on to Spaghetti, and as it's done by the Captain Mercer Pursuit, he will be able to pick up him, but Shingy is afterburning onto the tight Kraken. It's full health, another stun by Quadrivoire on Shingy. Shingy so much health, Look at that. The Vayne Crystal's target is going to fall, and the Vayne is left open. A block on the Murder's Pursuit. Shingy's still full health pretty much, and that will be Game 3 going to Infamous.
That will be Game 3 going over to Infamous indeed. Definitely very, very well played and very interesting as well, coming through from Chingy and this very innovative utility glaive build that we haven't quite seen for a while now. So Infamous, congratulations for taking the first spot in this current week, and of course Impunity on second place.
Yeah, well played to Infamous. In the end, there were 3 Echoes on the fold, 1 on Arm, 1 on Glaive, and 1 on Catherine. In the end, we did not expect Crystal Glaive. It wasn't even a consideration when we went into draft. Crystal Vox was more of a consideration than Crystal Glaive. And in the end, it worked out really well. There was a little bit of damage, not that much. There was a lot of CC. There was a lot of blocks available because a Crystal Glaive doesn't have to build damage. You're free to just build a Crucible to block the second Blast Drum if it comes out, or block from Hell's Heart, and then